Good afternoon, gentlemen, and today I am going to be talking about Rosa Parks. Rosa Louise Macaulay was born on February 4th, 1913. She grew up in Alabama, USA. Her mother was a teacher and her father was a carpenter. She was of African ancestry. Her parents separated, and Rosa, along with her mother and brother, went to live on a farm with her grandparents. It was here that Rosa got involved in an African Methodist church. In 1924, Rosa was 11 and dropped out of school after her grandmother and mother became ill. Around the turn of the 20th century, black people had no rights. They were considered second-class citizens. 1955, in Alabama, Rosa Parks refused to obey bus driver James Blake's order to give up her seat in the colored section to a white passenger. After the white section was filled, and because of this one act, she became one of the most influential African American civil rights activists. The American Civil War was fought over the right to own black Americans as slaves. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln proclaimed freedom for all of America, but going on 100 years later, it's 1950 and segregation is everywhere in America. The law was black people did not have the right to vote, and racial segregation was imposed in public places, including public transport, where they would have separate sections for the blacks and whites, where school buses would pick up the white children for school, but the black students had to walk. Racism was not even talked about as a taboo subject, but for the white people, life was easy. They were being brought up to believe that black people were second-class citizens and were superior to the black men. This was normal everyday life for a black person in America at this time. Although it left African Americans feeling depressed, dejected, and despondent in the community. In 1955, Rosa Parks, 42 years of age, refused to give up her seat. Her words being, "My reaction was spontaneous. My feet were tired after a long day at work." Unfortunately, Rosa's actions were not considered, and because of this, Rosa was thrown into jail for not obeying the law, and this is where she met Martin Luther King. An objector, a person who expresses opposition to something. A pacifist is a peacemaker. Rosa Parks was an ordinary black woman who spontaneously kick-started the African American civil rights movement. When Parks was arrested for civil disobedience for refusing to give up her seat to a white man, her defiance sparked the push of racial equality. This is when she met Martin Luther King. Dr. King would become the spokesperson for the bus boycott and educate the people in methods of nonviolent civil disobedience and change people's perception into racial equality. It was because of Rosa Parks' actions that non-violent protesting was available to educate everybody worldwide. I believe that Rosa Parks was an objector where she was not afraid to stand up to people and say what was on her mind, but Rosa did this through non-violence and without raising her voice. One of the many ways in which human dignity is not respected is through racism. Racism is one of the ugliest forms of prejudice. These laws were often offensive to the Black American. Rosa Parks was fighting for her own human dignity by not standing up on the bus. Rosa believed that just because she was Black American woman does not mean that she should have to stand up for a white man. Rosa, without really realizing, was fighting for the respect of her people, but all humans who face different prejudice worldwide. Rosa herself admitted her strength came from the Bible and the church. And to this day, Rosa teaches us all to respect one another, forgive one another, and to turn the other cheek. Rosa Parks is a great example of restraint and how we as Catholics should be living our lives today, with less judgment and more acceptance. Thanks for listening.